Will Spencer make it? Will Alexandra ever see her husband and the father of her unborn child again? Will Jacob and Kara Dutton ever know peace? Several burning questions remain unanswered right now as Taylor Sheridan's 1923 rolls into its second season, rumored to be its last. Sheridanverse grew a little bigger in December 2022 when the creator of the popular western, Yellowstone, decided to add another spin-off series. 1923 was preceded by 1883, which follows the same storyline in broad strokes. It's the Dutton family against the world. Obviously, the stories themselves are unique, enough to gain their own unique fan base too. 1923 is arguably one of the best shows to come out of Paramount Studios. Dare we say, better than Yellowstone? Debatable, but what's not up for debate, according to 1923 fans, is a third season. They believe that Sheridan has to find a way to roll this show over into a third season. Will 3 be enough? Will it ever be enough? And what's Sheridan's take on this? Today, we're taking a look into 1923's future and answering some of the internet's burning questions about the future of the Yellowstone universe. 1923 was necessary for Yellowstone. The general consensus here would be that 1923 only exists because of Yellowstone, right? Well, according to fans of the prequel series, 1923 should have come way before Yellowstone. It showcases the Dutton family navigating life in New America, following one calamity after another. If there was ever a time to be a resilient ranch owner, it was back then. And we know just how far that family would go to preserve its Montana land. Plans for another prequel series were announced in February 2022. 1923 would succeed the existing spin-off, 1883. Both shows followed the Dutton family navigating life through different timelines. It's in the title, after all. But did you know that Sheridan had originally planned on a different timeline? That's right, the title was slightly different. It was supposed to be 1932 before it was worked around to be 1923. That's just an interesting tidbit for die-hard Sheridan fans, who also enjoy the fact that 1923 was the most expensive series in Paramount history. Paramount hadn't always been Sheridan's first pick. In fact, when he came up with the idea of a neo-Western series, he'd first pitched it to HBO. The network said yes before saying no, forcing Sheridan to take the pilot elsewhere. That's when he landed a meeting with Robert Evans, and the rest is history. Their relationship has been mutually beneficial. Sheridan creates awesome series that bring in millions over millions of dollars, and they give him full creative control. Evans and everyone at Paramount believe in Sheridan's superpowers. Maybe that's why, despite asking for over $35 million per episode, a lot of money, Paramount told Sheridan they'd take care of it, no questions asked. On the topic of providing interesting 1923 facts, let's dive into another one. Did you know that Taylor Sheridan originally planned for 1923 to be a single-season series? As most of Sheridan's spin-offs go, 1923 was set to follow the trend and run for one season. That was what Sheridan had done in 1883 as well. Starring Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, the way back Dutton series ran for one season. Why? Because the series creator believed that one was what was realistically warranted. When you think of it from that perspective, the spin-offs were only meant to add to the storyline of the parent series. That is, they were created to give us more insight into the lives of Duttons from generations and generations ago. Alongside the principal family, the series also dives into the lives and tales of the native tribes who lived in the region. Basically, everyone who was a part of the storyline for the parent series had their backstories elaborated on in the spin-offs. Why did 1923 get a second season and not 1883? In February 2023, 1923 was renewed for a second season after much speculation. The network wanted a show to keep Yellowstone viewers hooked, so they came up with a new Western-esque show. That show would be The Madison, a standalone series with multiple seasons separate from the Yellowstone franchise. Sheridan eventually caved. However, many wondered why 1923 was given preferential treatment over 1883. Virtually, the two shows followed the same format and expanded more upon the greater Yellowstone franchise. What was left to be told in 1923 that 1883 could wrap up in just a single season? Let's talk about that, actually. For one, 1883 was a close-ended story. It followed the harrowing journey of James and Margaret Dutton as they traveled west to establish the Yellowstone Ranch. The series had a definitive beginning, middle, and end, culminating in the death of Elsa Dutton and the family settling in Montana. Sheridan himself confirmed that the show was designed as a single-season narrative with no plans to continue the story. With Elsa's passing, the show wrapped up in the best way it knew how to, with fans sobbing. While 1923 also moves fans to tears, it's arguably more action-packed and fast-paced than its predecessor. The show was envisioned as a more sprawling epic, exploring not only the Dutton struggles in Montana, but also global and historical themes like war, colonialism, and economic hardship. With multiple storylines including Spencer Dutton's journey across Africa and Tiona Rainwater's escape from a boarding school, the show was structured to unfold over multiple seasons. Sheridan realized that one season wasn't enough to fully develop these narratives, leading to a second installment. Could it also have had something to do with the audience? Both 1883 and 1923 were successful, but 1923 had a different kind of impact. While 1883 drew great numbers, it had always been promoted as a limited series, making its renewal unlikely from the start. Sheridan later introduced Bass Reeves as a standalone series rather than continuing 1883. This just about confirmed that the series creator was not interested in making any more seasons for the first spin-off. 1923, however, debuted with record-breaking numbers on streaming, thanks to its big-name leads Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Given its high production value and audience engagement, Paramount saw an opportunity to expand the story. Streaming platforms prioritize long-term content investment, and a multi-season 1923 fit into Paramount's strategy of keeping Yellowstone-related content in rotation. Lastly, while 1883 and 1923 were meant to expand more on the Dutton family storyline, going back decades and decades, there was one key difference here. No, it didn't just have to do with the timeline, different conflicts, and all that. The major difference was that 1923 served as a bridge between 1883 and Yellowstone. 1883 was a prequel that was meant to set up the Dutton family's origins. They could have just continued that with 1883 or one season of 1923. Instead, Sheridan and everyone else at Paramount realized they just discovered a golden egg. The period it covers, Prohibition, the Great Depression, and Western expansion, allows for richer storytelling that aligns with the franchise's themes. Expanding 1923 into 2 seasons helps Sheridan flesh out the generational struggles that ultimately shaped the modern Dutton family. 1923 got a second season because its story was built to sustain one, whereas 1883 was a self-contained tragedy. Strong audience demand and Paramount's streaming strategy also played a role in ensuring 1923 continued. As a result, 1923 remains a crucial chapter in the Dutton saga, providing depth and historical context to the Yellowstone universe. Will there be a third season? Drumroll, please! Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but no, there will not be a third season for 1923. Initially, Sheridan planned for just one season, but as he delved into the characters and historical scope, he realized the story needed more time. This led to a second season, allowing for a complete arc rather than rushing to conclude the Dutton struggles in Montana, Spencer's return home, and Tiona Rainwater's fight for survival. While Paramount is willing to spare no expense when it comes to Sheridan's creations, and the stellar cast could easily be paid for more seasons, do they even want to come back? Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, both legendary actors with packed schedules, were drawn to the project because it had a clear endpoint. Ford has expressed interest in shorter television commitments rather than open-ended roles. Also, why expand 1923, stretching it out beyond its lifespan and dulling the storyline, when Sheridan can create a new spin-off? While no such spin-off is planned right now, you never know. In this case, we know that there could be another show that dives deeper into more Dutton family lore from a different timeline. Maybe even 2025? Posed as the 6th season of Yellowstone. Who knows? Do you think Sheridan's killing off 1923 ahead of its time? Or do you think it is time to put the show down to rest? Let us know what you think. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more.